this is Roar of Time bringing you my first narrated battle. Before any of you say anything, I am perfectly aware that I have an awkward voice, and I'm just doing this to see what kind of feedback I get. So here I'm facing PokeWorldDP, who was the one that guessed that y equals mx plus b was a Linoon, even after I dropped about as many hints as I could. So anyways, I start off with y equals mx plus b as usual, and PokeWorld leads with a Weavile. I knew that Slash wouldn't do anything, so I was going to use Toxic, and Weavile used Brick Break to take about most of his HP and leave him with about a third or fourth, something like that. And then Toxic hits, and he is poisoned, which I thought would come in handy later on in the battle. And yeah, he takes the damage to poison, and my turn starts again. I didn't want to switch out y equals mx plus b, not knowing what he was going to do. So if he just happened to miss, I would end up using Slash, but Weavile uses Ice Punch and finishes off y equals mx plus b. Right here, a bunch of frames dropped, and it cut out his fainting animation. Something like that happens later. So here I send out Akir, who was guessed correctly by Spyrek1, who is no longer on YouTube anymore. I just used Thunderbolt here, just trying to see what it would do. And Weavile goes first and uses Night Slash, which takes about a third of my HP. Well, his HP, not my HP. And Akir uses Thunderbolt, which does a lot more damage than I thought, leaving Weavile with just enough HP to get knocked out by poison, and there he goes. So he wasn't as much as a threat as I thought he would be. I'm just surprised that Akir was able to do that much damage to him. And now he sends out a Manectric, and I seriously had no idea what to do here, so I just used Crunch, even though I knew that he might have Static. But I said, well, that's as good as I can do. But of course he uses a Substitute, so I didn't get any damage done. And again, of course, when I use Crunch, it gets a critical hit, when it does absolutely nothing. So that's just my luck. And so after the critical hit, the Substitute fades away, and it goes back to the choosing screen, or whatever you call it. And then I just want to use Thunder Wave because it was annoying me how fast it was, and I just wanted to kind of even it out. But Manectric used Flamethrower and leaves Akir with about a fifth of his HP left, and then Manectric takes damage from Life Orb. So I use Thunder Wave, paralyzing him, which is good. And yeah. So here I use Crunch again, knowing that there might be Static, but again I just said, well, whatever, I should just go along with it. So I use Crunch, and it does practically nothing, and leaves him with about a third of his HP left, and I get paralyzed. Which means that all that time I spent trying to paralyze him to lower his speed was absolutely worthless, because now we're back to square one. I knew I was going to get knocked out, so in case a miracle happened and paralysis would take effect again, I just decided to use Crunch. But of course, Flamethrower hits, and Akir's knocked out. But I think he did pretty good in this battle, considering he knocked out a Weavile. Well, almost knocked out a Weavile, with the assistance of poison. So Manectric takes Life Orb damage, and I send out Sabs, who was guessed correctly by Artie Eats Ramen. I actually really like Sabs. She's been doing pretty good, but I'm thinking about changing her moveset, considering that the Sandstorm strategy isn't really working for me. So anyway, I use Brick Break, and I knock out the Manectric. And there he goes. Now PokeWorld sends out a Crawdont, and I was like, ah shit, because I didn't know what to do. So I was like, I didn't want Sabs to get hurt, so I wanted to switch her out, but then I realized Brick Break would take effect to it, but of course he then switches it out. Apparently over here he made a mistake, and of course he sends out a Drifloon. And right here is where all these things drop, so Brick Break didn't take effect, and then it went to his turn, and he used a Calm Mind, and I used a Sandstorm, and there we go. And now I decided to switch out because Sabs is completely worthless against a ghost Pokemon with Levitate, which is why I'm considering changing Sandstorm for Stone Edge. And now I send out Houndoom, and he uses another Calm Mind. No, wait, he didn't use the Calm Mind. Here's when he used the Calm Mind. Never mind that. So he used the Calm Mind, and we are both hurt by the Sandstorm. But since Houndoom has leftovers, he just gains that HP right back again, which is pretty good for a strategy, but now since I won't have Sandstorm anymore, that strategy's gone. So I decided to use just Dark Pulse. I didn't want to waste my time with a nasty plot, because I thought it would do just good as it is. And I was almost right. It leaves it with about a 4th. But then, of course, it has a berry thing, so it brings it back up to about half, but it flinches. So that was lucky. So they're both hurt by the Sandstorm. Houndoom gains his HP back with leftovers. And there we go. And then I used Dark Pulse again, because I knew it would just knock it out. But it goes first, so I guess it had... I was worried that it had Aftermath, but after I saw this, I was like, okay, it had that other thing that raises its speed when it loses an item. So there it uses Dark Pulse, knocks it out. Bye-bye Drifblim. There you go. Toodles. I did not just say Toodles, never mind that. Sandstorm rages. Goodbye HP. Welcome back HP. And I'm sorry I'm so boring. Here is a Starmie, and I was like, fuck. How am I gonna fight this? So I just used a Dark Pulse. I was like, maybe it's slow, and then I was like, who the fuck am I kidding? So it uses a Surf and completely obliterates Kerberos, which is the Greek word for Cerberus. I wanted to name him Cerberus, but then I thought that's not really original, so I went with the Greek word. The Sandstorm rages. Goodbye HP for Starmie. And I was like, Akir's gone. I have like nothing that can fight this thing. So I knew it had Thunderbolt. I was like, every Starmie has a Thunderbolt. So I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? So there he uses Thunderbolt. And it takes about half of my HP. I mean Grimreaper's HP. My bad. And Aerial Ace does literally nothing. It does bullshit. And so Sandstorm takes a little bit more of its HP. And I use Aerial Ace again just in case I survive another Thunderbolt. But I do actually. I forgot that. But I get paralyzed. And then I can't move due to Paralyzation. And I was like, fuck you. Why does it happen to me? But of course, it's just Pokemon. I shouldn't get that over dramatic about it. So I knew I had nothing to do here. I could do nothing. And that stupid Starmie was going to drive me up the wall. So he uses Surf and then knocks me out. The thing I like about PokeWorldDP is that he switched in Pokemon he knew had disadvantages against my Pokemon to kind of even out the playing field, which I thought was really cool because I don't think a lot of people would do that, and I know I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, hell yeah, I beat you, I'm not going to hold back. So I decided to use Swords Dance, and then he switches out Starmie and brings in Crawdaunt. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to use Aura Sphere next turn. Take that. So I use Swords Dance and my my attack sharply rises. And so I click Aura Sphere. And I was like, okay, this is going to do a lot of damage. And then I thought Crawdaunt has really bad defenses, if I know correctly, so it would have a Focus Sash, and I was right. It has a Focus Sash. I wish Sandstorm was still around a few more turns, but of course it wasn't. So it uses Waterfall against me, and it takes out about half of my HP. But I had no worries that it was going to, like, knock me out, because I know that Hellrider is pretty fast. So I just use Aura Sphere again to knock it out. And there it goes. So now Crawdaunt has been KO'd. And I don't remember, like, how many Pokemon are left right now. I'm completely brain dead right now. I'm sorry about that. And he sends out a Magnezone. I think he was expecting an Aura Sphere, but I went with Blaze Kick. because I thought it was pretty cool. When I found out that it could use Blaze Kick, I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. Right here I started speeding it up because this battle got a little too long. So it used magic code, obviously expecting an Aura Sphere, but I didn't use an Aura Sphere, but now I did. And the Magnezone is gone. I'm sorry about mispronouncing things. And then the Starmie comes back, and I was like, shit. And I didn't know what I could do, because everything I had was like, couldn't do anything. But it gets a critical hit anyway, and there goes Lucario. And I bring back out Sabs, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And I knew it was fast anyway, so it was just gonna get knocked out. Well, there it is. Here's my first narrated battle. Hope you enjoyed it. Rate, subscribe, whatever, I don't care.